So 9.2 PTR testing is back on, and we have another boss to show you. I'm going to be taking a look at Xy'Mox. And no, you're not mistaken, this is not a Castle Nathria video. Don't worry, this is a new video released in December. Xy'Mox is re-entering the raid, and we're going to be taking a look at how this fight sort of plays out. So let's jump into it. So this is another single target heavy fight that we've previously been seeing in the raid so far. But then it's also got this addition of an ad phase, and we will kind of I'll break you through this fight as we go. So first and foremost, Xy'Mox is going to phase when you get him down to 80% health. So initially, nothing really happens in this early stage of the fight, and you could just blast him down. I would assume that you're probably not going to really use many cooldowns here because nothing really happens. So there's no point pushing the boss early and trying to get a really good push phase, and then just having no cooldowns up for the next phases that are going to be upcoming. But we push the boss at 80%, so what happens is all these ads then spawn. You have two types of ads. You have the Debilitator, which is going to be doing this ray cast. It focuses on a player and just slows them. You can interrupt it, you can stun it, you can disorient it. Then have the Acolyte. The Acolytes, you have two of those get summoned. They are going to run into the middle. You can have a tank pull them up. And then they're going to do that System Shock ability, which is this massive frontal cone. Just stun them, disorient them, do anything, knock them back, whatever it may be to stop that cast from going through. And then you just burst them down. You want to kill them before they reach 100 energy, because when they reach 100 energy, they're going to start doing this channel cast, or doing this cast, which if it completes, it's uninterruptible, by the way. If it completes, then they will level up. They will ascend. It's actually called Ascension. They will ascend into a Archon, and then they're way more difficult to deal with. It's a lot more way higher health pool, and you're just in the fight for longer, more damage going out and whatnot. So it just complicates the fight. So you want to kill these as quickly as possible. So this is where you're probably going to have people assigned to killing those ads. You're probably going to have specific classes which are going to be saving cooldowns for these ad phases in order to burst those down as quickly as possible so that you don't have any of them ascending. Meanwhile, you have traditional things with Xy'Mox. You have these Stasis Traps here, which you can see, these circles on the ground. If you run into those, then you get stunned, you get trapped, and then people have to kill the trap and get you out of it, which is quite a lot of damage that needs to be pumped into that, so try not to stand in those. And you'd have people with immunity soak those and clear those from the raid. You then have these teleports, which you can kind of see at the back of the room, which is similar to the old Xy'Mox. In fact, exactly the same. You can see these just got put on these two players here. They move out of the raid, put them into different locations, and make sure that you have access to those teleports to jump around the room. You then also have this Spark Nova effect, where everyone has about a 2-yard radius that they need to spread and not stack up on anybody. And then the boss, when the channel completes, it's then going to do this effect, which you can see this beam, which is going to be jumping all around the raid. You can see here it jumps to everyone in turn. Now, I don't know if you can spread and then move back in when your circle has disappeared, or whether you have to move out for the full completion of this jump visual. But I don't know yet. That's probably to be confirmed. But that's just a mechanic they need to be aware of, is that slight spread, so be careful with traps to dodge that. But that's pretty much the whole fight. You have these ad phases at 80%, 55%, and then I think, I don't know after that. I don't know if we even managed to reach the next one. Then apart from that, you have this shrinking circle that comes in on the boss, and you want to just make sure that you make access of these portals, which we do here, in order to jump away from those, from that cascading effect. And then there's like a tank mechanic. I'm not 100% sure how this one works. Again, this is still PTR testing, so apologies. Not 100% sure how it works, but the tank gets pulled in, or the tank has to move out, and then it'll pull everyone onto the tank. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think if you position a portal, so if you have the tank here, then portal, then the group, as the group gets pulled in towards the tank, they'll hit the portal and get teleported away, so they don't get pulled onto the tank and then get obliterated by a massive amount of AoE damage that would just kill you. I think that's kind of how you're supposed to do the fight. And so that's what we were kind of experimenting with, but we didn't unfortunately have enough time to really test it. See, you get pulled in there. That's what I was talking about there. So I think you would kind of position with a portal between you so that you don't end up getting pulled onto the tank. But that's kind of the brief overview of the tank of the fight. Sorry. You can use the pillars at the beginning of the room to kind of LOS these ads and maybe group them all up and stack them up and then burst them down. That's maybe a good tactic. In terms of Feral Druid then on this fight and how I feel Feral Druid plays out for it, I think it's a good fight for Feral. I know it's very ad heavy in parts and you have these ad waves, but I think it's very, very good for Feral because these debilitators, they don't really matter. You can just kind of use them as extra additional padding and funnel damage. But Xy'Mox is heavy single target himself, and you're just killing him and phasing him at the right times. And, you know, you'd want to probably be pushing him at certain times based on when mechanics are incoming. And you're probably going to want to hold or skip depending on which mechanic is upcoming next. That's going to be kind of boring. I know I don't like fights where you have to stop, start, stop, start. But that's probably going to be the case. But Feral is going to have a lot of damage that you can really push the boss if you need to or hold back if not. Then for the ad phases, you have these acolytes which need to die. They need to die very specifically, very quickly. And so you can really emphasize your damage and your cooldowns on those before they phase. You've got access to 2-minute Berserk now with the tier set. You've got access to Convoke the Spirits as well. And we'll have a second legendary, probably something like Apex, where again, we have Funnel if things are bleeding from multiple rips. I don't think you'd play Primal Wrath on this fight. Personally, I don't think it's really worthwhile. I think you would just stick with Brutal Slash. The ad phase isn't heavy enough to really warrant Primal Wrath, and a lot of the ads are cheese damage. You don't really care about the debilitators. You just want to have 2 rips, which you would comfortably apply on the 2 acolytes. You don't need Primal Wrath for that. So I think this is a very good Feral fight. I think you're going to have access to cooldowns for these ads. You're going to have 1-minute Convoke for it. You'll have your Berserks aligning for it as well. So I think really, really good. Feral fight, high mobility, so you'll be able to move through these things. You can soul shape across the, you know, the circle that's incoming in on the room. You've got Stampeding Roar, can help with Stasis Trap movements and things. Good prio damage, good funnel damage if we need it with things like Apex. Good cooldown timings, good single target damage, good pressure damage on acolytes. I think it'll be a good fight for Feral. It's a very fun looking fight. It's very hectic. There's a lot going on. I don't know how much I enjoy this fight yet. I think it'll definitely grow on me, and I'm excited to see what they're going to add to it in Mythic to really ramp it up some. But yeah, that's basically the fight. Hopefully this has been a cool little overview of how the fight kind of works, at least from my initial understanding and initial viewpoint. And more so kind of looking in on how Feral might operate with this. On PTR, I was only able to test with the 4 set and the 2 set. I wasn't able to check out 2 legendaries because it's not implemented yet on PTR. And I imagine the reason for that is Blizzard's probably balancing the raid for us to only have 1 legendary initially. And I imagine that they're not planning for us to have 2 legendaries early on into this fight. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, hopefully this was a cool little look at how Feral might end up performing on this one. Especially with, you know, the new Berserk bleed damage. That might be really good for this ad phase as well, that you can hold out for and really just pop a lot of those ads that do come out on this fight. Yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts and stuff. Let me know what you think about this fight in the comments, and check me out on twitch.tv/cyberslat for more coverage of PTR and just everything that's going on in WoW right now. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you.